Welcome back. We're switching gears now as we pivot to a new issue. We're going to talk about the Toronto Pride Parade, which is a huge parade in the world, culminating the month of Pride. And it seems now that several corporate sponsors have slowly suspended their funding to this annual event. Mike, why don't you start us off on this?
Well, just like you explained, the Pride celebrations go on for a month, and it requires a great deal of money. Most of that money comes from large corporate donations. And this year, more than ever, more and more of the large corporations like Google, Adidas, Home Depot that have traditionally financially supported the Pride activities to a large extent have quietly withdrawn their funding.
Okay, and what kind of numbers are we talking about here, Michelle?
Well, right now they're reporting Pride is reporting about 700,000. But and I think that we really need to take it in stock that this is a very different year compared to other years. We're having tariffs, we're having volatility in the market. Every week we have Donald Trump flipping the market up and down where investors don't know where they're going. And of course, this affects, the shareholders in these major corporations. And perhaps this information's not out there. And I tried looking it up to see if I could find it. Um, what I read about Home Depot is that their Q1, the first quarter, they did make better than what they had anticipated. However, they're not giving the amounts of what exactly that is yet. So it's hard to say, like, yes, they've made some money. How much money and why are they decreasing? It's particular because of DEI issues or not. But I will say this that I did notice is that while Google said it's reducing its funding, Google also said, but they're still supporting gay pride by having their employees still volunteer in the parade. So this could be a money issue. I mean, it's hard to tell because not everything is so open and transparent for all of us to see and analyze. But the fact that if some people are saying, oh, it's because corporations are moving from DEI, I think Google has said, well, this is what we have to do, perhaps, and it's not our business to know why they do these things, but employees are still going to volunteer. So I would argue, well, they're not taking away from Pride, and they're still supporting Pride. They just can't do it financially this year, for whatever the reasons are.
Well, I don't think the Toronto Parade is crying for the volunteers. I think they want the cash. And
Obviously.
no, right, no, but and that's you use the right word. It's a volunteer. The corporation isn't mandating their employees doing it. They're not mandating a check be cut. These are individuals volunteering, and they're encouraging it. Fine, but it does affect the taxpayer because the stopgap measure, who's filling in for the funding is the City of Toronto taxpayers because we saw Toronto Mayor Olivia Chow make an announcement that, first of all, to like boycott Home Depot and shop Rona, buy Canadian elbows up, that whole spiel. But furthermore, that she's pledging to donate even more money because I believe the police services are already donated. So that's a lot of funding because it's a big parade. Mike, what business do cities have in funding these public events?
Well, I think a certain amount of involvement makes sense because, cities do have a responsibility to promote community events. However, there's a couple of issues here. The biggest one is that I believe very strongly that a lot of corporations are moving away from Pride, not because their political ideology has changed, but just because Pride has become boring. They don't get a return on their investment. So why continue to invest? That's number one. And number two, any other sort of community festivity, certainly like Caravana is another big activity in Toronto. Caravana is financially very well supported by the Caribbean community in Toronto. If there's not enough money for gay pride activities, why don't they go to the gay pride community and ask them for money?
Well, this is what I'm saying. I don't think taxpayers should be on the hook for, I don't care what the event is. I think if it's a successful event, then it should be self-funding. And if you're just starting out, well, it'll take a few years to get seated. It's just the way it is. I do think this has to do with DEI. I know nobody's ready to declare it, but, Trump is very heavy-handed on this issue. And not only, and we've seen it with USAID, the USAID organization, that he was very appalled with the funding of taxpayer money to overseas programs. And we're not overseas, but we're across the border. And yes, while this may not be tax funded tax dollars, it's still funding. And, who knows what's coming down the pipe legislatively in America. Anyhow, we'll keep our eye on all these issues. Thank you both for joining me today. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Have a great day.